Welcome to Books on Air, the podcast that you don't want to miss. You're about to get a sneak peek at what goes on behind the scenes with authors. We'll find out their secret recipe for creating a book. We'll tell you where they get their ideas, and you will get the inside scoop on their next project. Want to know more? Okay, we'll tell you where to find them on social media. Are you ready? Let's meet today's author. I'm about to introduce you to someone who absolutely has blown me away. His name is Kyri Demby. He has a Bachelor's of Arts in Church Music and Music Education from Bethune-Cookman University, and he has a master's degree in Educational Leadership from the University of South Florida. He's an author, he's an educator, he is one of the most creative people I've ever had the pleasure of talking with. He has a deep understanding of music, and he knows how to connect with his students, and he connects his students to the power of sound and art. Kyri, welcome.
Thank you.
I know. It's always hard to hear yourself introduced, isn't it?
It is. Did I do all of those things?
You are all of those things. I looked at your body of work, and I have to say, I was really, really stunned at how much work you have produced. How did all of this get started for you? Because writing a book, even a children's book, is no small undertaking. Tell me how that started.
Well, all of my stories come out of I'm a teacher first. And so out of the classroom setting, I use my stories to teach different concepts to students. And that's how all of my stories are birthed. In the middle of talking with a student, and I tell a story, and I'm like, I better write that down and save it for later. And so most of my stories come out of me being in the classroom.
That is amazing. And you make little notes as you think about it.
Yes. And yes, I'll tell the story and I'll have to remember it. Like, I teach music, so I only see each group of kids for 50 minutes. And so when they leave, I have to record it on my phone or something. Oh, let me tell that story again so I remember it. Or I write down notes to remember it, and then once I get home or get time to myself, I put it all together.
Now, you teach elementary school music, right?
Yeah.
What grade levels do you work with?
Kindergarten through 5th grade.
Your books are all over the place, and they're about all kinds of things. I looked up, and we're going to talk about the latest one. We're going to talk about Simon, the SelfControl seal, but you've also got Uncle Jambo's Stable series, and you've got, I looked at this one and I thought, oh dear, the Tales of the Still Quarters, and the one that I saw was The One-Legged Man. And I loved it. You've got I Am the Best series. You've got the SEL series, which is one of my favorites also because it's sing every day and laugh.
Yeah.
And all of these ideas have come from your interactions with your students.
Yeah.
It strikes me that the latest one, the SelfControl seal, is really important. One of the things that I do is that I'm a trainer, and I write custom curriculum. And it's really funny because I just finished writing a custom curriculum that I'll be doing a presentation for a group about resilience. And oddly enough, and you may already know this, but self-control is one of the 7 C's for resilience. And so when I saw this, I thought how absolutely timely and perfect the idea is, because you're getting across a concept to kids about self-reliance. Tell me the theme about Simon.
the thing is, I always try to teach my students and adults also that we have to stop and think before we act. And so in the book, Simon just goes through the day of a regular school day, and each time he has to sing his song, stop, think, and breathe, and make the right choice. And so that helps him remember to stop and think before he acts. And so that's really what the Simon book is about. All of those, the Simon Self-Control Seal and Taylor the Truth-Telling Tiger, helps children and whoever reads it to stop and think before you act, or stop and think before you speak.
Another thing that struck me is how perfect your books would be for the parents who are either homeschooling their children or parents who, for the first time perhaps, are home with their children and having to think about that educational process because the kids have been out of school for, 3 months now. And I know one of the things that you regret is that you did not get to say goodbye officially to your students. They left on spring break and never came back. Right.
And we were so sad. And some of them have been talking to me online, and we still have the Google Classroom where they can still contact me. And so they've been contacting me saying how much they miss me and how much they hate that we didn't have our 5th grade graduation this year. And so,
wow.
Yeah.
Well, these parents at home are probably struggling with ideas. If they're listening to this podcast, they have just found a treasure trove. If they will Google, if they will go to Amazon, and if they will simply put in the words Demby's Playful Parables and click on it, right there is an amazing amount of work. And parents could take each one of your books, especially with an elementary school kid, and they could read the book together and then talk about the lessons. What other ideas? Since you're an elementary school teacher and a music teacher, I know you have wonderful ideas for educating kids. What are some other things you could share with these parents? I wanted to call you Demby because I'm looking at Demby's Parables. Kyri, what are some other things you could share with these parents that would be helpful?
Well, I try to tell parents with these books, you can do like I do a self-control game where I try to get the kids to practice standing still for 10 seconds. And then we stand still, and then I let them shake their sillies out. So they jump around and go crazy. And then stand still. Let's try to stand still for 20 seconds. And even if you have to itch or scratch, or if you're tickling, anything, you have to learn to try to control your body. And it helps the kids realize that if they can control those for those 10 seconds or 20 seconds, they can start having self-control over other things. And so a lot of what I do is to get parents to do different games like that, where even hide and go seek you can play at home because the kids have to sit still and quiet so you won't find them. And so those kinds of activities will help with teaching self-control and helping your student while you're at home. You don't have to just read the book, but then you can do different games like that. Every time I read this story, it's followed by one of those games to help the children learn how to use self-control.
It's one of those ideas where you give them an idea like the Simon book or the Taylor book about telling the truth and about self-control, and then you actually reinforce that learning with some sort of physical activity. I actually do the same kind of thing with adults, and it works really, really, really well. And I love the idea. You're so musical. So you have little songs and little things that make kids love to sing. They don't care if they don't sound like some professional singer. Kids love to sing. And so the idea of making up little songs, and you've just got all kinds of clever ways to get the ideas across. And you just sang one of them a few minutes ago that you use in the Seal book, in Simon's book. Is there a little song in each book?
No, only in the Simon and Taylor books. But for every book that I do have on my YouTube channel, there is a song that goes with the book, like the story of the one-legged man. There's a song on YouTube called oh man, I just lost it.
I know what you mean. It'll come to you.
Right. Okay. So there's a story on YouTube. There's a song on YouTube that goes with the story, the one-legged man, and it's called "Do What Is Right." And so every one of my books have that kind of thing to it: self-control, telling the truth, doing what's right.
And you're active. The first thing I saw that you did was called Music in Pajamas. And I just howled because there you are. You've got on a little robe and you've got a red bucket and a wooden spoon. And you're talking about the difference between beat and rhythm. And it's very, very clever. And it's I found myself doing everything that you said do. And you give exactly the amount of time that it takes to do whatever the motion or the movement is. What person doesn't really, in the deepest heart of themselves, love to beat on a bucket with a wooden spoon? I mean, it's really true. Let's tell them how to find your YouTube channel, because I think that's another treasure trove for parents, because you've got all kinds of activities there.
Yeah. And, well, my YouTube channel is also Demby's Playful Parables. So if you look up that on, and you can Google it and everything. I have the YouTube channel, my website, and you can connect to my YouTube through the website also. The website is also Demby's Playful Parables.
What all will they find there, Demby? See, I've got Demby in my head for you. You and I talked about this earlier, Kyri, because Demby's Playful Parables is in my head, and so that makes me want to call you Demby. I know your first name is Kyri, but it still makes me want to call you Demby. Yeah. Where did that idea come from, by the way, Demby's Playful Parables? I really like that concept.
Well, that idea came from, I used to like to listen to Aesop's Fables, and, instead of using people, he used animals to talk about people, things that people should do. And so that was my idea to be the next Aesop Fable. So I came up with Demby's Playful Parables, and my stories just teach children the right things to do without pointing out without name calling or calling people or talking about people. It just has animals. So it teaches, all of my stories teach children.
There are two quotes that I found on your website that I just really liked. The first one is, laugh, play, and sing while you learn to stop, think, and breathe. That's on Demby's Playful Parables. And then you also say, join me in changing the world one child at a time. I just loved that, Kyri. You're doing all of the social media stuff. You've got a YouTube channel. You've got a website. If I, as a parent, go to your website, what all will I find there?
On my website, I have my different books, links to the books, and links to the YouTube videos. And I also have a blog where I do a daily blog that includes for me, I do daily affirmations because it helps me to stay positive and it helps other people to stay positive. And I just talk about different topics. It's a bunch of different topics. Right now on my blog, I'm talking about what it really means to love. And so I give love affirmations about loving yourself and supporting yourself. And then when you learn to love yourself, it's easier to love others. And so I think we need that in this time with all the things that are going on now.
I'm sitting here shaking my head to everything. Could you see me? I'm sitting here shaking my head to everything you said. Now, you're doing everything. You're doing Facebook. You're doing Twitter.
Yeah.
You've got a Twitter account. You're doing Instagram. And you said you've recently started doing the now famous TikTok.
Yeah. Doing the TikTok also. And also I have T-shirts that go with the statements in my book. If you go on Amazon and type in Demby's Playful Parables in the clothing section, my T-shirt will come up also. And last year, my principal, she liked one of my T-shirts so much that she got one for every student in the whole school. And it said, "I am the best because I act like the best." And so I have all of those social media outlets, like you said, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook.
All of it.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to spell your name. The way that you spell Kyri's name is Kyri, and his last name is Demby, Demby. And also write down Demby's Playful Parables. That's really the key to everything, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you could say something to the people who are listening to us, if you had the ability to sit down with them face to face, what would you like to say to them about everything that you're trying to do with Demby's Playful Parables, the books, the T-shirts, the blog, the stuff on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, etc.? What's your bottom line message, Kyri, for everybody?
My bottom line message is let kids be kids again. You know, Donald Trump says, "Make America great again." I say, let kids be kids again. And, you know, kids listen to a lot of this grown-up music and things like that. And kids need to be kids again. Go outside and play, learn different things, and let kids be kids again. There we go.
It has been an absolute delight to talk to you. You are inspirational, you're creative, you're funny, you're the whole package. And it's just such a wonderful experience to meet a person like you with all of the wonderful things that you're doing and the positive messages you're sending out. Congratulations on everything that you're doing, Kyri. It's so just terrific. I mean, I don't mean to go on and on and on, but I hope that if parents hear you and I talking and hear what we're talking about, that they will really take that minute to just look up Demby's Playful Parables and see the wonderful message that you're giving for everybody, adults, children, it doesn't matter. So thank you so much for being our guest today.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Remember, you can find Kyri Demby's work by simply putting in Demby's Playful Parables on Amazon. You can also put Demby's Playful Parables on Google, click it, and you'll come up with a world of wonderful information. You've been listening to the Books on Air podcast, brought to you on webtalkradio.net. You can also hear this podcast on iTunes and iHeartRadio. I'm Suzanne Harris. I hope you'll join us next time for the Books on Air podcast, and remember, it's really the place to be. Thanks so much for listening.